Hello guys, this is a quick video on the evacuation of the civilians and the defenders from Kafriya and Foua towns, which were besieged in the last 3 years, 3 months and almost 3 weeks. So the evacuation happened yesterday and they reached into safe hands and to their destination. However, I want to mention a couple of things in this video that in the last years the situation in these towns were very miserable and they were besieged by al-Nusra Front, al-Qaeda, Ahrar Sham and other foreign terrorists such as the Uzbeks, such as the Uyghurs and many other terrorists in Idlib. However, unfortunately, we haven't heard the voices of the human rights organizations. We haven't heard the voices of the Western world, which claim to champion the humans or the human rights everywhere in the world. They didn't shed crocodile tears on the humanitarian situation in Kafriya and Foua. So it was only the Syrian army, the Iranians and the Russians were trying to deliver food, medicine and some of the basic needs to the people in this area through airdrops from the helicopters, which was a very difficult operation because these terrorists, they have Iglas, they have other air defense rockets, and they also have anti-tank missiles, which they were using to shoot the helicopters. Misery is over now. However, some people are asking why the Syrian army chose to evacuate these civilians and the defenders now from Kafriya and Foua, although they were able to resist the attacks from these terrorists and they were able to defend and repel the attacks coming from the terrorist organizations in the last more than 3 years. This is true. However, we all know that this operation in Kafriya and Foua was also not possible without a political umbrella, especially between Iran and Turkey, so that Turkey was practicing some sort of pressure on these terrorist groups in order to minimize their attacks on these towns. However, if we remember the statements coming from Turkey in the last week, that they are threatening that the Astana process could crumble if the Syrian army advances into Idlib. I want to be very honest with you. Turkey is not gonna withdraw from Syria, whether from Idlib, whether from Afrin or in any place, or from Manbij, and they think that this is an historical, this geography belongs to them historically. That means during the Ottoman Empire, and Turkey, especially under Erdogan, they have these expansionist intentions. So the Syrian army, after the operation is finished in Daraa, I believe in the next 2 or 3 weeks it would be over. The Syrian army, the reports coming from Syria indicates that the Syrian army will send the forces and the elite forces to the north, and especially to Idlib. That means if Turkey this week is saying that the Astana process could crumble, that means if the Syrian army sends reinforcement into Idlib in order to start the military offensive to recapture these areas from the terrorist organizations, Turkey could withdraw from Astana agreement, and Turkey could withdraw from any kind of tacit understandings with Iran and with Russia, and that means that tens of thousands of terrorists could attack on Kafriya and Foua, and we all know that hundreds of fighters cannot resist against these terrorists whose intention is to cleanse these people on a sectarian basis. They want to just genocide them. They want to ethnically cleanse these people from the map. Now, these terrorists are in control of Kafriya and Foua, but I'm hearing some criticism to Russia that that Russia ordered the withdrawal and all these blah blah blahs that we hear all the time. I can guarantee you that it is the Syrian army ordered the withdrawal of these people from this area, and there was an agreement between Russia, Turkey and Iran in order to guarantee safe passage for these people coming from Kafriya and Foua. Last time, in 2017, also there was a similar agreement to evacuate the civilians, and hundreds of civilians arrived into Aleppo in al-Rashidin area, which was under the control of this terrorist, and a suicide bomber came with a car and exploded himself and killed tens, more than 100 kids and women. It was a genocide there, but unfortunately these incidents are not being mentioned in the Western mainstream media more often. Therefore, I'm here to shed light on these facts that happened in Syria or what's going to happen in the future. So in the future, we will see a possible advance of the Syrian army to the north. That means if the Syrian army finished its operation in Daraa in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that means they need 2-3 weeks to send their also forces to the north, and after that to prepare the strategy and the military offensive that also could take up to 1 month. That means we are talking about October, December 2018. There could be a military operation in Idlib, but this is not 100%. This is just an analysis based on the reports that I received from Syria. There could be other surprises that the Syrian army could advance into other places, but we will see how the situation will develop. In all cases, I'm here to report what's gonna happen or what will happen and what's going on in Syria, and I will keep you updated. Thank you very much, guys, and see you next time.